this interview. Joining me today is Paul Limbrey. Paul is from Google. He's the Managing Director for Global Clients and Agency Solutions, but that's not all. You also manage a global data and technology teams across Google, your top clients, and this is with 25 years of experience under your belt. So welcome.
Thank
It's
you.
lovely to have you here in the sunny south of France.
It is. It's great to be here. Delightful. Jess, we should warn everyone if there's this sort of dull hum, the lawnmowers are active right now. So we've got some special guests with us.
Absolutely. I mean, it's going to be a packed week, exciting things coming up. So tell me, is this the first time in Cannes Lions, or?
No, I've been here several times before, but it's just great to be back, just because we've had that hiatus for a few years. So it's just great to be back connecting with people.
So you're a pro at this point?
Yes, I know enough to go buy a hat and make sure you wear plenty of sunscreen.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. So the Cannes Lions themes for 2022 is centered around moments that move the world. What moment in digital is what you believe that really moves the industry in your eyes?
Really interesting. Because I run a data and technology team, I don't think of it as a single moment. I think what are the moments that stack on top of each other that then you use to build. So for me, I think we've been on a journey for the last number of years that in many ways started with the internet, but the real focus point over the last few years has been the advent of the smartphone, and then the combination of new compute technologies, augmented reality technologies, the capability to process massive amounts of information. I'm trying to avoid the buzzwords, by the way. And then recently, like things like 5G, like you look at all of those technologies come together that then enable us to do amazing things with marketing and new customer experiences. So for me, there's not maybe one moment, because all of those moments stack on top of each other that get us to the point where we can do these things in 2022.
I like that answer. It's interesting. We've actually started changing our narrative as well. We used to often believe that consumers were on a journey, but now with multiple devices, technology advancing as much as it is, it's more moments, right? So the moments are everywhere.
Yes.
So I like the fact that you actually believe that it's stacked up versus one.
And I think with those, look, it's really interesting. I just think about my behaviour as a consumer versus my behaviour in the corporate world. That really resonates with me, because sometimes these technologies will coalesce together to put something in front of me that I didn't know I wanted, but when I see it, I go, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then other times I know there's things I'm looking for, and I'm on a constant journey between all different types of media to educate myself to sort of get what I want. So there's different, like we're complex people, I suppose, and the technology I now is enabling complex interactions with us, and that makes it really difficult for advertisers and marketers to work out how to connect with consumers. But I think if you just think back and sort of analyse those dynamics, you can start to make really smart decisions with regards to how to build your infrastructure and how to sort of plan and go about reaching consumers. It's exciting.
It is exciting. I feel that often advertisers get kind of drawn back by the complexity, but if we step back, like you said, go a few years back, we used to segment things, we used to take time to go through things, we were a lot more patient, and we just have to do the same. We're graduating with a lot more sophisticated technologies to help us to kind of capture these moments.
I am the most boring executive that you guys will get to listen to on your webinar, because I so foundationally believe in back to basics.
Yeah.
You've always got to strip things back so you can make sure that you've got the right foundation in place. There's so many analogies we could do, but you get those basics right across any of the things we'll talk about. That's what moves the needle.
Yeah, 100%, agree. So, I know you don't like buzzwords, but I have to kind of bridge into one of the buzzwords at the moment, which is CTV.
Yeah.
So, of course, everybody is asking, what does it all mean for the wider industry? We've seen a massive incline in the adoption of CTV. A lot of advertisers are asking for more inventory. They're asking how they should execute this successfully, kind of bringing it into their broader landscape. And a few months ago, we've actually written an article about CTV and the importance of it, and how we've kind of seen the growth in households actually activating CTV more so than traditional TV. So let me ask you, What do you think advertisers should be considering when looking into this realm?
So first of all, like it resonates with me. I completely concur that you're putting out those thought leadership pieces to get people there, because just the world's changed. If we build on what I was saying to you earlier about what are the technologies that stack on each other, clearly you can see the way we interact with screens is maybe the thing that's changed the most in the last few years. The short form, TikTok, you see how people of all ages and walks of life are engaging with these new mediums. And then the way that we interact and consume sight, sound, and motion, it's changing. It's not like it was back in the day with the TV experience. So we have to really embrace how consumers are interacting with devices in their lounge room in new ways. CTV just gets to the heart of that. So if you want to be a great storyteller and you want to be finding people in those moments that we were talking about earlier, it's just a part of the landscape that you've got to be digging into understanding, which for me comes back to then experimentation. So because there's going to be new formats, new inventory types, you're not going to be sure what performs and what reaches your consumers and gets your message in the right way. You've got to be thinking about how you can experiment with that and then still drive the most efficiency and get the right return on the spend that you're putting into those channels, but really look and carve out ways where you can experiment with your storytelling and really dive into these new formats and reach people where they are in the lounge room or in their or on their device would be my counsel.
So that's really good advice, but now let me challenge you a little bit on something.
Yes.
A few years ago, we always saw the difficulty in creative. Now, being at the heart of creativity right now, one of the biggest challenges we had a few years ago, we were often using TVCs and just kind of pushing it into digital. Do you believe that advertisers are willing to really start connecting creative to the various devices?
Absolutely, because we're just saying, I think brands are now looking at what creators are doing. And the fastest growing segment, I think the creator economy is growing a little bit faster than media right now. I don't have the exact stat on my fingertips, but I think when we look at the creativity that is just being brought into these formats as consumers of different formats, and if you look at the creativity that's even coming into streaming television, I think everyone in advertising land is just excited to look at how they can embrace and do new things. If I just look from the YouTube's experience, that people's willingness to experiment with 6-second formats versus taking like the production values of what they previously would have done for a Super Bowl spot. There's been incredible engagement by the creative community in particular to do some incredible things where you just grab people's attention in a second. So I think it's difficult because the weight of status quo in organisational life is always quite overbearing, and that's why experimentation is easy to say, hard to do. But I think it's really possible, but it needs committed leadership who are understanding the technology trends and then willing to take some risks and look at how they allocate their budgets to facilitate that.
I 100% agree. I feel that advertisers will almost be a little bit pushed by creators. It's a necessary frenemy that's happening. They will own as much of the audiences as advertisers do. But advertisers have the opportunity to partner, and creators are definitely that step ahead in terms of creating the content as fast as they should.
Because they're more willing to take risks, because in many ways they've got less to lose. So it's really like having the courage to embrace on some of those things is what I think is going to set many marketers apart over this next period with creativity in particular.
I like that. It kind of brings a fresh perspective to the table. It's good. Are there any other priority areas you see for advertisers? Now, of course, I'm going to throw more buzzwords at you. AI, automation. These are the huge players right now. Everybody's trying to get into the game. But what are the opportunities that you think can be reached across these areas?
I've tried to avoid saying AI. That was one of the buzzwords I was thinking earlier. I don't want to say machine learning, and I don't want to say AI, but now we're here. It's funny that these are foundational technologies and capabilities. In order to do what we're talking about, you need to have the infrastructure and ability to think about how you manage algorithmically versus how you've maybe thought previously. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of capabilities now built into, certainly into Google's advertising platforms, where you've got to start thinking about how do I best take advantage of the intelligence that's built into these products. So that's a shift in how you behave. If you want to get the best out of the capabilities, you've got to start thinking about what are the inputs I need to be providing to get the best out of these capabilities. A completely different way of thinking. So as we think about how to take advantage of automated technologies, we've got to start thinking about what are the inputs, what's the data I can bring. Then you've got to take a step back and go, well, what foundational steps do I need to take to be even organised to be able to bring that at some meaningful scale to move the needle. So I'm really excited by the advancements in those capabilities, but in how we can sort of start to change how we think to do more with the intelligence that we start to glean about our customer base.
Yeah, I actually like that you mentioned that. I am an operational person by heart. I feel like it's often undervalued, right? But what Google has definitely done is you've simplified a lot of these things. AI, machine learning, it's all there. But the only thing that we would actually have to do is just plug in a bit of operational excellence. Like rethink the way that our teams are structured. I think I've often heard a lot of buzzwords as well. The titles, the data scientists, the data engineers, everybody's hiring them. But it's an ecosystem, right? It's not just one thing.
You're saying something great there. When I think about like even how you use these technologies, you think about, well, hang on, if I want to embrace sort of new automated, ML capabilities in a product, well, what does it mean for my workflows and my processes? So you've got to take a step back and go, well, I need to think about how I reimagine those and automate those in a different way. And then you can implement products off the shelf that have capabilities. But then what about your secret sauce?
Yeah. As
Incubeta, you're probably providing value added for your customers as well. So as an operational person on your side of the house, you've also got to be thinking about the tools and capabilities that you're building to augment the capabilities that we provide you, and then our customers have to be collectively thinking about how they automate the workflows and silos in their organisation. So it's incredibly involved.
Yeah.
But if you take a step back, I think it's really commonsensical with the steps that we can take to take advantage of these opportunities.
Definitely, it's all ingredients to me.
Yes.
Oh. Google's the ingredient.
Nice expression.
The advertiser's the ingredient. Incubeta is the chef. We have the recipe, so we definitely look to augment it.
That was not rehearsed for people out there in webinar land. That was very well done. Well played.
Good. So we couldn't help but bring up another topic. I think something that's been very top of mind, right? And it's looking at measurement and privacy readiness. Mm-hmm. So what is your take on that?
There's themes here now. So first of all, consumers have realised that all of this technology that we're the beneficiaries of, there's an underbelly to it. So consumers are asking for higher standards with regards to what's happening with their information, and that's driven in different markets in different ways. Certainly in Europe right now, it's really front and centre. But that's a foundational change. Yeah. So with that in place, then we know that what's the ramification of that, and the immediate ramification that's been the changes in underlying technologies, which then means we have to rethink how we go about measuring the effectiveness of our work, what we're doing with regards to trying to reach consumers through those mechanisms. We have to rethink measurement. So for me, in many ways, the privacy conversation is really, from an industry standpoint, really about measurement.
Yeah. And
that's what we see. So then I apply the same baselines that we've been talking about. First of all, how are you investing in your baseline infrastructure? How does that need to change? So we're really focused on making sure that people have implemented the very latest Google Analytics capabilities. Yeah. The capabilities there that can sort of unify what's happening in a web environment, what's happening in an app environment. So making sure you've got those baselines in place. And then there's newer technologies that Google's built based on top of our ML, AI capability, enhanced conversions, etc. How are you ensuring you're using those technologies to make sure you've got no gaps in your measurement framework? So I would step back and say, understand why consumers are demanding this, and then look at the basics within the infrastructure that you're building and making sure that you've got great infrastructure and capabilities to close the gaps that you might have in how you're measuring the effectiveness of your campaigns.
I agree again. So Google has again provided a lot of foundational technologies to essentially bring advertisers to where they need to be. Again, it's the advertisers that have to look internally, right? They have to rethink their operational steps in this. I'm going to go with another analogy here that just kind of popped into my head. I feel like it's the era of where we're renewing our vows with consumers. We're not being limited by anything. We can still be in a partnership. this time we just have to be slightly more honest with how we're doing things, right? They're not asking us to stop being relevant and, you know, giving them what they need.
We want more of that.
Yeah.
The relationship between consumers, marketers, and the internet is sort of, in some ways it's sort of been questioned at the moment, but it's more important than ever.
Yeah.
The publishers are providing great content. Marketers, like, people want to understand what's out there. Like,
yeah.
I like it when I find something serendipitously through technology, and I also like to be able to use tools to find the things I know I want.
Yeah.
And I think building those super relevant customer experiences are still what we'll be working on, but we just need to do that in a way where the value exchange between all parties is always obvious and clear, like not hidden behind legal language. It's just clear what we're trying to do and how we're trying to do it. And I think all different parts of that value exchange are really happy to participate in that type of open environment. So renewing the vows, yes.
Renewing the vows,
yes.
Again, good. And finally, we're recording this first thing on a Monday, so you basically have the entire week of Cannes ahead of you.
Yes.
What are you most excited about this week?
That's easy. It's as I said at the outset. It's just connecting with people, having a chance to see you in person, like we've met before, on two-dimensional. But now, you know, here we are in person. I just think that's fantastic. Like at our core, that there's an ability for us to interact with large numbers, but just be humans are just great when we interact together and we get the best out of each other. So I'm really excited just reconnecting with folks. That's the single sort of upside. I'm sure there's going to be moments where I wish I was back in my hotel room getting some more sleep, but but that's just truly exciting to just reconnect with folks. That's
absolutely. And I mean, I'm looking at this boardwalk, and it's fantastic to see the effort that's gone into it. And I think
there's the effort, the energy levels.
Yes,
it's
it is designed for people to connect.
Yeah.
I love that as well.
You just need a hat and some sunscreen.
I have definitely taken note of that. I've skipped the hat, but I'm pretty sure we can find a good hat in the boardwalk. But Paul, it's been lovely having you here. Thank you for the time and sharing your insights. I'm sure everybody has appreciated hearing from you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a great day, everyone.